Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek podcast, Friday Fun Day with Sam Bassiter. I'm your host, Sam Ballard, and I am so freaking excited about what we're doing tonight. This is what I call a sequel. We've had this guy on before a long time ago. In fact, Shannon likes to brag on the fact that he's the guy that gives me the most competition on here for most listened to. But I am so excited and honored to have Richard Miller on with us tonight. Richard is wearing a barbecue hat, it looks like.
Yep, dead pigs, that's where it's at, man.
Dead pigs. Richard, how in the world are you?
I'm doing good. I'm tired, got a lot going on in my life, but I'm doing good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Talk a little bit about what's going on in your life right now.
Well, I'm trying to keep my SmartPay rentals portfolio going and taking care of my customers. I'm helping to run a small company that I'm a partner in with my son, and I'm building a house 10 hours away in southern Missouri, where I'm the general contractor, and there's some cool stuff that I want to talk to you about tonight because I think it's going to bring some value to some people, some of the lessons I've learned along the way on building that house, and also trying to get our house in Ohio ready to sell. So between all of that, I'm not even sure how I'm breathing.
I completely understand. I've wondered, or in fact, Karen asked me the other night. She's like, "Are they still in Ohio?" And it all of a sudden hit me. Something you just said was, I don't know if he sold that house yet or not.
Nope.
Do you're not even like focused on that right now, are you? Or are you starting to get that away?
We've got a guy here almost every day working on it, like a handyman contractor working on it. It needs probably $10,000-$12,000 worth of work to get ready to sell.
Nice.
So,
but not really pushed on your timetable?
Yeah, I've had enough delays. I had a bunch of delays in getting the house done in Ohio, in Missouri and Ohio, that, I'm getting pushed on some timetable stuff now, but it's not a crisis mode. It's just getting pushed. I'm leaving February 5th, headed back to Missouri to work on the house, and got a handful of my friends, really good friends, showing up to help get it not ready to move in, but get it to where we can move in. So we're shooting for the first couple of weeks of March to move.
Oh, nice. That was one of my questions. I want to know if you kind of have a goal you're shooting for as to when you're going to try to move. So what stage is the house in?
A little bit of the electrical's done. It's got the foam insulation in the walls and in the roof line.
Yep.
All the interior framing's done, of course. The divider wall between the shop and the house is one side of it's covered. We needed like a day and a half worth of plumbing, 2 days worth of plumbing, so we can have a usable bathroom. It's got water in the house. We just don't have the plumbing fixtures in, and it needs about 2 or 3 days worth of electrical. And then I got to put the heating system in. I'm heating 2,800 square feet with 3 of those little electric radiant heaters, those plug-in heaters.
Yeah.
And it's generally keeping the temperature 40 degrees above outside. So when it's 14 degrees in Missouri, those 3 electric heaters are keeping my house at 55 degrees, 2,800 square feet. So I'm pretty happy about that.
You have to be. That's pretty cool. So you said you got your divider wall up between the shop and the house part.
Yep.
That's always, to me, that's a big key. I used to build houses, and most couples, when they walked in, even with the walls framed and stuff, being able to see through the walls and stuff kind of always still threw them off. Like most of my change orders came after we like insulated a wall somewhere to divide a house in.
Yep.
What was your feeling like when you got that divider wall up to where now this is house, this is shop, this is what it's going to look like? Did you get what you wanted?
For the most part, there's things in my wife and I, Tina and I, spent a lot of time on on the design of the house. And I grew up in the trades. I was a licensed master plumber at one time, so I spent a lot
Mhm.
of my life in the construction industry, and so I've developed a lot of opinions, right or wrong. I've developed a lot of opinions about laying out a house, and they're
Yep.
working selling sheds for 8 years or so. Selling a lot of cabin shells that people will make into homes. I got a lot of ideas, and so once all the framing is done, I because of my background, I'm pretty good at visualizing what's going on there. We get that wall covered between
Mhm.
the shop and the house, and I'm walking through there, and everything I'm going, not quite, almost everything I'm going, yep, yep, perfect. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's just like, because we put all the thought in, there's
Yeah.
several areas that I'm not happy with, but I knew that like it was compromises we intentionally made,
Yeah.
and so I'm going, this is actually sucking as bad as I thought it would. But like my office, I wanted a 10 by 16 office, and I'm ending up with a 9 by 14. Okay, well, whatever. I'm disappointed, but who cares? Like, who cares? Like, it
Yeah.
don't matter. There's one place in the guest bathroom slash laundry that I'm going like, this is not working out quite as good as I thought it would. So there's only one place that I've been disappointed. I'm really happy, but I put in probably 20, 30 hours in designing the
Oh
thing,
yeah.
plus all the thinking over 35, 40 years.
Yep.
I used to draw house plans for a hobby when I was 14 years old in school.
Yep. So
So
that's cool. So yeah,
it,
yeah. So you've got some of that.
yeah, so
What about the
it all
shop
paid
side?
off. Is there ever such a thing as a shop that's big enough?
Nope.
No,
You know that.
but
So talk about selling sheds. I used to tell people all the time. They were like, well, I mean, it's all the shed customer is always up against budget versus
yep,
what they need. And I always tell them, look, I'm not trying to upsell you. I could really care less. I said, but I promise nobody's going to ever come back in my office in 2 years and say, I wish you wouldn't have sold me such a big building.
yep,
They always come back and they're like, oh, if we would have just got an extra 4 foot here, an extra 2 foot there. True. You know what I'm saying?
yep, yep, yep. And I've even had people want to come back. They bought a shed, and they come back and wanted to trade in their shed for a larger one. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
tried to sell in such a way that would never happen, but it still happens sometimes.
Yep.
Actually,
Yep.
you know
It
what? Let's
does.
go with this. Let's go with this. Then the stinking competitor down the road sold them a shed that was too small. Then they came to me to get the right size. let's
That's,
let's go with
ah,
that. That
there you
sounds
go.
better.
Yeah. We don't know where down the road was, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Uh,
But no, my shop is 30 by 40, and we're going to dual purpose it to entertain guests in. My shop is
yep.
going to be heated and air conditioning, have radiant floor heating. Even though it's southern Missouri, it's going to have an air conditioning and heat pump unit in it. It's going to be all completely finished with painted plywood on the walls and liner panel steel on the ceiling. And then when our house is intentionally smaller than we need to entertain the size that we will on occasion, but then we'll open the door between the kitchen and the shop, and we'll spill
Yeah.
out there. And so it's kind of a multi-purpose thing. 30 by 40, you know what? I can make it work. The part that I'm most proud of in that shop is, Sam, I get my own miniature barbecue kitchen. I have 7 foot of cabinet space,
Ah.
uppers or lowers, my own single
Oh my.
full size kitchen sink, all my barbecue cabinetry, everything's in there, my own refrigerator. Okay, I'm really proud of it, but the real story is Miss Tina wanted that mess out of her kitchen. She has been
I was.
so patient most of the time with my barbecue messes and all the seasonings and all the stuff, and she cannot wait to get it out of her kitchen.
I was just going. If you wouldn't have gone there, I was going there. I'm like, if your wife is anything like my wife at all, it's even better because it's like, hey, you're out there now, buddy.
Yep, yep.
which is a good thing. I come, my poor wife, my body clock and her body clock, or I should say, my buddies and my body clock versus hers. I come into the house 11:30, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at
Hmm.
night, and I got a whole pile of dirty forks and spoons and knives and butcher knives or whatever we were using, and I just chunk it, she doesn't want me washing it. That's fine. But I just chunk it in the sink. And it's like, you've been in my shop. My shop's a
Yep.
mess. One day it'll get done the way I want it done. But right now it's multi-purpose to make a living. But it's like, well, you can't leave your knives and forks down in your sink because you guys are washing grease and stuff in there. True, we are. But it's the ultimate idea that, hey, you know what? I'll be able to leave all my stuff there to where it
Yep.
belongs. And
Yep.
I know you're worse than I am when it comes to that. So to have that, that's a big deal.
Yep. I can't wait. And then there's a door that opens from my barbecue kitchen right out into the 14 by 32 foot porch. And you guys in
Yep.
the shed industry, like picture a 14 by 32 shed. That's with 10-foot sidewalls. That's the side of a porch. One end of it, 1/3 of it is going to be a bunch of my grills and smokers. And there's a
Yeah.
door that goes out from our barbecue kitchen right to that. And then there's a door that goes out from our dining room onto the same porch. Then we're going to have a fire pit out in front of the porch and lights and the whole thing. We're setting it up, Sam, so to invite people over to sit with us and eat good food and to sit around a fire, to sit on our porch,
Yeah.
and just to be together with people. Community, community, community. I Man, I've been thinking about that so much, about community for the last while, and
Hmm.
my friend and your friend Kenny Schlabach passing away. We buried him
Yep.
last Sunday, and the community that he had created around him without even trying.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
600 or 700 people showed up at his celebration of life.
Yep.
By the way,
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt in his honor tonight.
I was gonna ask you about that later. I was like, I'm suspecting that's what you're doing there. Kenny, for those that don't know, was one of the guys that came and helped you with your crazy house project.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about, for guys on here that obviously, they're like, oh, Richard built a house, but it wasn't just that Richard built a house. Richard had a crazy idea to go back to the way we did it 50 years ago and get a whole community together. Here's the difference. I don't know. I've never heard you talk about this. You talk about the crazy idea, community get together, go back and build it. And I know you know this, but I've never really heard you say this. You brought 100 communities together.
Yeah.
Most of these people came from different areas. It's not like we got all the neighbors together in Missouri and did it, or all the ones in PA. You had them there from everywhere.
Introducing the Challenger, the revolutionary new shed mover that's taking the industry by storm. The Challenger features a touchless design, ensuring it only makes contact at the end of the skids and the bottom of the floor joists, so rest easy knowing your gable walls will remain pristine. Worried about reliability? Fear not, the Challenger is always up for the challenge and will not overturn or scuff your shed. Harness the power of innovative wireless technology. Remotely control the Challenger via your smartphone. No cell service needed. And guess what? The cell phone remote comes standard with every Challenger at no extra cost. Featuring floating forks, a 4-directional tilting mast, and sliding weight transfer, move the shed weight precisely where you need it to get ultimate traction. With self-loading capability, straight onto your truck, say goodbye to the need for a hydraulic carriage. The Challenger makes your job easy and more efficient. Choose from 2 machine sizes, 10,000 pounds and 15,000 pounds. Perfect for any job. Visit www.shedchallenger.com or email us at info@shedchallenger.com or call or text 828-220-3508 for more information. Experience the future of shed moving with the Challenger.
Yep, we did. We truly did. Here's how it started. I wanted to move back to the Ozarks. That's where I was born and raised, and kind of go back home and buy 10 acres and build my dream house, which is not big. It's not exotic.
Yeah.
But it matters, and everything's like I'm getting the things I wanted in a house, and so I started working out. I bought the 10 acres, and I had this audacious idea to invite all my friends in to help me build the house. And I immediately dismissed it because it felt like it was self-serving. It felt like it was about me. And like,
Yep.
why would I do that? Why would I ask for help? Which I want to talk about that thing about asking for help before we get finished tonight, because
Yep.
it's important. It's something very important to talk about. And then one of my friends said, "Hey, Richard, you should let your friends come in and help you come build your house." And I'm like, huh, let your
Mm.
friends. Do you see the language there?
Oh,
And then
yes,
one day
absolutely.
I was talking to Kenny Schlabach, and he said, Richard, you need to let your friends come help build your house. And I respected Kenny, as did any of his friends. That you meet one of Kenny's friends, they respected Kenny. And
Yep.
Kenny's words carry a lot of weight. And I'm going, huh, whoa. And so I thought about it, and this picture developed about, we all desire deep within us to be part of something bigger than ourselves. It's like something that
Absolutely.
wired into us. We all
Yep.
desire community. And I don't care if you participated in the draconian COVID stuff. I'm trying to watch my language here. It makes me spit the way some of those things went down. I don't care if you participated in it or not. You were probably negatively affected by the reduction of community, by trying to separate people, social distancing, and all that stuff. And it
Hmm.
messed with our national psyche, and it messed with our whole, and some of us just ignored it, but it still affected us. That's my argument anyway. And I got
Yes.
this picture that, what if I create an event and I bring all my friends together that want to show up, and we build this house, and all of a sudden it wasn't even about the house, it was about the coming together. And so I threw it
Yes.
out on social media, and I remember that night telling Gina, like, honey, this thing is going nuts. There's like 25 people
Oh,
are in, and we might actually even have 40. Like, honey, I had no idea it would ever go anything like this. And it blew my mind. 25, 40, whatever. Anyway, so I went to Kenny's house in March of last year. Tina and I, there in Spruce Pine, North Carolina. And I took some food. I cooked some food for him on his grill, which I like to do when I went to Kenny's house. The younger kids say, "Oh, Richard, he's the one that cooks the best sausages ever." I'm like, yeah, I want to be known by that by the kids. That makes me happy.
yeah.
So we took some food. I showed him our house plans, and Kenny did like he did for so many people. I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can. Oh, that site's a piece of cake, because I had all the elevations. I went back there and mapped out a map of the elevations on a 10-foot increment for the entire, like, 120 by 100-foot area that the
Yeah.
house might sit on. And I had the whole map, and I'm looking at it, and he goes, "Oh, that's a piece of cake. You should see what we deal with here in the mountains of North Carolina." And he,
No
he
kidding.
did like he did. Kenny had a gift of helping you find within you. Like, a lot of us have something within us to do way more than we think we can. You're experiencing that. You're like, hey, this is Sam. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'd have told you 6 months ago that you could do everything that you can get, how many sheds? I know you got a number, but you're probably not ready to say it. But hundreds of sheds, you would have said no. But you know what? Sometimes we need help to get that, to to reach within ourselves and make that happen. And Kenny did that for us that night. And I said, hey, if I put on one of those events, will you come help run it for me? He said, tell me when, and I'll be there. And
Yep.
that was Kenny's whole posture. Tell me
Oh,
when,
yeah.
and I'll be there.
Yep.
That was his posture to God. That was his posture to people. Anybody that needed help, tell me when, and I'll be there. Anyway, so the thing blew up bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the time it was all said and done, Labor Day weekend last year, we had just over 100 people, counting women and children, from coast to coast and border to border. One guy jumped in his truck and drove straight through 16 hours from Manitoba, Canada. We had a guy there from Oregon, Wyoming, Florida, Pennsylvania. 15 or 16 states showed up.
Yep.
And we had Amish, ex-Mennonite, Mennonite, probably even a few heathens there. I don't care. I love them
Yeah.
all. And,
Yep.
and I got to tell you something cool. On Friday, there's a local Amish community there. And on Friday, I was walking down through, uh, we were ready to eat lunch. There's 80 some people there for Friday lunch. And I thought, wait a minute, do I want to go here on this? Yeah, I do. I don't care. I'm going to go here on this podcast. I thought, God, who should I ask to pray for
Yeah.
me, and I normally don't even ask God. Like I just like,
You
Joe,
speak
would you
some.
pray?
Yeah.
Like, no, I never. But I felt compelled to ask, and I walked down there, and this local Amish bishop caught my eye. Like, that's it. And so I'm going to say it in Dutch. I'm going to translate. And I said, Jonas, it's the beta. Jonas, would you pray? And he said, "Oh, ik weet liever net. Oh, I'd rather not." You know, if you know
Hmm.
anything about the Amish, and I love my Amish heritage. I
Oh
love
yeah.
my
Yeah.
Amish
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you can't be a true Amishman if you say sure. You have to
Yeah.
pray. Like you gotta push back, okay? And I say that as affectionately and fondly
Oh,
of my
absolutely.
Amish. The Amish and Mennonites are my people, and I love them absolutely. So don't any of you Amish or Mennonites that are listening, don't interpret this any other than
Yeah.
that. Anyway, I said, he really want to ditch. I really wish you would. He said, okay. He come off with a beautiful prayer of, I'm not well, a little speech beforehand of blessing everybody that's there. And there were ex-Amish there that had been hurt with
Yeah.
tears in their eyes, who told me later that that blessing he spoke over them and then prayed over them, an inclusion, like he acknowledged that we're there because we love God and because we love each other and we love
Yeah.
Richard, and that was very healing for them. That's why I was supposed to ask him. I know this
Yep.
is crazy stuff for a Shed Geek related
No. No.
podcast,
No. This is where we
this is
go.
all important.
Yep.
Anyway, but Friday morning, it was a bare slab. There was some lumber stacked on it. That was all.
Yep.
Saturday night, I had a 40 by 70 building built, all the interior framing done. It had metal siding, 10-foot sidewalls, and there were some challenges because the concrete slab wasn't right. So there were some significant challenges
Yep.
in getting it lined out. That's all taken care of, and a 14 by 32 porch with the roof tied in.
Yep.
Everything done. We were short 2 to 3 hours of trim on the metal. That's it in two
Yep.
days.
Yep.
And it was absolutely crazy. My boss,
It's
Dave Miller, CEO at SmartPay Rentals, showed up in his RV. So we had I don't know 7 RVs and campers down in my field of people that just showed up. We had
nice.
a tent or two on the property, and that's the crazy thing. Everybody did this at their own expense. Like it just blows my mind. Anyway, Dave took over the cooking and kind of like other people helped. Women
Yep.
stepped up and helped my wife. It was truly a community coming together. And I don't know, 20, 30, 40 people thanked me for giving them the opportunity.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yep. Yep. That's back to the part of let them.
Yep, that's let them.
It's
Exactly.
it's oh man, you when you said the whole thing about um what we can learn from letting people or asking people to be involved with us or whatever. And I know I guess that's part of our background too. Oh, I don't want to do that. It's not. I don't want to do that because it's me. I want to help other people or whatever. And it's like, man, I'm experiencing that to a level that is ridiculous with what we're doing here.
Mhm.
Having to ask haulers to help, having to ask guys to, donate more sheds, getting to work with the Amish community that, the 2 or 3 different Amish communities that are here that we're helping, they're building sheds and we're teaming up with them to do what we're doing. And it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. You have to ask.
Yep. And I want to talk about that for a second if I can.
Yeah.
Also, before we wrap up, I want to tell you what I did on this project that I'm the most proud of. And
Okay.
if that sounds arrogant, wait till I explain it. It'll make sense. But the whole thing about asking, the whole thing about asking is so I find myself finding it very hard to ask for help, especially if I get in a bind. But here's the reality: there is no human alive. Well, I shouldn't say that. For the vast majority of us that will ever hear this podcast, we get into a space in our head where we're locked into having trouble finding solutions for stuff, and if we just say, guys, I'm having trouble here, and it's embarrassing because a lot of times I, I think we should have the answer. Like
Hmm.
even for me, like I'm not embarrassed to ask somebody for help in of itself. Like why don't I then more often? Because I think I should have the answer.
Yep.
And therefore I become embarrassed. Excuse me, but to ask for help. And then the other thing is some of us detest the the kind of mentality where you don't ever lift a finger for yourself, where you expect everybody to pick up the slack that, I don't know how to
Yep.
describe it without and still be polite. And we detest that so much that I don't even want that kind of feel anywhere close to how I live my life. And so
Yep.
I will slog and slog and slog and go through all kinds of misery to finally, like, I get desperate and I ask for help. And one of my friends said, well, why don't you do this? And why don't you do this? And boom, a path appears that is just tremendous path. Uh, and sometimes the very act of me asking actually unlocks the solution. Like, I need help. I can't figure this out. Well, you know what? Why don't I do this and this and this? And I got the solution just because I asked unlocks my brain. And I'm like, why don't we ask more? We should ask more. We should be. And here's the thing: I want to help people. You want to help people. There are very few people that don't genuinely want to help somebody else.
Yes.
So why
This
don't
is
you give them
true.
the opportunity?
Yep.
And I'm not talking about being needy. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
We're not
Yep.
talking about that. Why don't we give people the opportunity to help? And I don't know if you've noticed a lot, but I've asked a lot of questions about building my house on Facebook.
Yep.
And I've got a construction background. I can figure a lot of this stuff out. But you know what? I get locked into chant or tunnel thinking or whatever. I put it out there. People, I told these guys that are coming this weekend, like, if we don't have at least a couple of arguments of you guys arguing about how I want something done, I'm going
Yeah.
to be disappointed in you. Because, see, Sam, it isn't just all the people that came together. It's on our house. Even the ideas behind it are
Yeah.
collaborative. And you know
Absolutely.
what? We were made to be a collaborative people. That's how we
Yep.
function the best. So why do we try to be silos? It's ridiculous. We need to quit that.
This is the Shed Geek, and I'm here to endorse one of my favorite products, VersaBend from Cold Spring Enterprises. If you are in the carport or metal building business or have been looking to expand into that field, then VersaBend Tube Bender is a must-have. At VersaBend, we thank you for your interest in our tube bender. The VersaBend is designed to bend 2-inch, 2 1/4 inch, and 2 1/2 inch square tubing, as well as the 2x3 rectangular tubing in either 12 gauge or 14 gauge. Powered by a robust 5 horsepower unit, it features 2 adjustable stops for setting your desired degree or pitch. Priced at just $19,500 FOB from Abbeville, South Carolina, you can secure your VersaBend with a down payment of only $1,500. Contact us to check availability and get placed on our order list. VersaBend is a family-owned business dedicated to providing an easy-to-operate bender made with off-the-shelf components. A unique feature of our bender is that it offers a full radius bend, unlike the double crushed bends produced by most other machines. Want to see it in action? Visit our website at www.csecarport.supply or give us a call at 864-446-3645.
Well, listen. We going back to Kenny again. We can't be Kenny's. Remember that?
Yep.
But we can all be the best we can be at what we are.
Yep.
And I can't be Richard. I can't be Kenny. I can't be Jason. But I have Richard. I have Jason. I had Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can get biblical, spiritual for a minute, is that not the body?
Yep.
That's the way it's supposed
100%.
to work. Instead of fighting each other, we're supposed to all pull together. We're supposed to work together because I can't do what you do and you can't do you. True.
Exactly. 100%. By the way, Jason is one of the guys that's showing up like here in a week and a half at our house. What I'm really hoping is that Chasen doesn't show up, because I'm not sure that Chasen wouldn't cause some trouble and on the project, but Jason's cool.
Well, you're going to have trouble if they both show up because they won't
This
get
is
nothing
true.
done.
This is
They'll be
true.
fighting all the time if both of them show up.
This is true.
So,
By the way, speaking about Kenny and being yourself, what made Kenny so powerful in impacting people is that he reached out and he got a hold of his identity, and he got a hold, understood what his calling on earth was,
yeah,
and he walked in that, and his give a care, I'll be polite,
yep,
broke in the most beautiful way possible.
yep.
It wasn't where he became obnoxious and rude or whatever, but like, hey, I got my calling, I got what God asked me to do. And if I think one of his shirts said something about your opinion was not part of the recipe.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and yet he loved people passionately, and he cared about people
Oh, yeah,
passionately.
yeah.
And I think if we're gonna have our give a care break without caring about people, we become toxic and hurtful. But if we care about people and we have that break, it can be a beautiful and a powerful thing.
Oh, 100%. That's where I feel like that's the ultimate place. You know, so my definition of success seems to change all the time. The older I get, the more different it gets. You know, at 35, I was still one of those guys that, success is when I have everything I own paid for, and I have an established business and I'm helping others, and my business is able to support different missions and different projects and
Mm-hmm.
you know where I'm going with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I looked at. That's what the people that I was looking up to or whatever. And somewhere over the last 15, 18 years, I've got to this place where success is being comfortable in your own skin and being able to love other people in their skin.
Yep.
That's and guys like Kenny taught me that, Motz's dad, John and Abe and them guys, they were a huge influence on my life. And I've got
Mm-hmm.
other guys that aren't in the shed industry that nobody knows about. The one thing my dad was really good at was loving people where they were at.
Mm-hmm.
I've said many a time, I wish my dad was alive to see what I was doing today. Because I feel like even though I got plenty of affirmation from him in the latter years, I feel like this would be what he would be like. He would be here. He couldn't help
Mm-hmm.
himself. He would have to be here helping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some of the stuff I was thinking about Kenny and all that, some of the things that I find myself doing are actually Papa taught me this way. And I don't remember him ever teaching me with his mouth,
Yep.
but he just like, this is what we do. When somebody's in trouble, we show up. And I wonder, I watch you, Sam, when somebody's in trouble, you show up. Did your dad do that?
He did. So he did, but it was different. He was always the guy that if somebody was down and out in church, or if somebody was in trouble with church, or if something was going on, they were probably under his arm.
Gotcha.
I
Yep.
don't really have that part. I guess I'm a little more calloused. I'll definitely sit down if you come and ask me, what's going on or what am I doing. I'm happy to sit down and talk with you or whatever. But I'm still, so in my opinion, I guess the easiest way to say it without going into detail, he cared more about the ones that were already in the fold, and I'm still outside the fold. I'm looking for the ones that are still outside.
Yep.
You follow what I'm saying? I don't
Yep.
know that he intentionally did that. That's just where he ended up at. There's a lot of guys out there that would a lot of them told me, that if it wasn't for Dad, they wouldn't even be in the church anymore. And he kept a lot of them, and he brought a lot of them in that would have never been would have never, because that's just who he was. He didn't care about money; he cared about people.
Yep. So
So
I'm
yeah, I
probably
got
more.
that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I'm probably
I'm just saying I got that part.
yeah. I'm probably more oriented to the people hurting within the fold, because within the church, sometimes it feels like everybody's bleeding, and I just it just breaks my heart. And I want people to not be bleeding. Like I want people to thrive. I want people to,
Yeah. Yep.
one of the most powerful things one of my friends said during one of the darkest times, not the darkest times, but an extremely hard time in my life, uh, just devastatingly hard. He looked me in the eye. He said, "You're going to live." And like, okay, if he believes I can live, because you know what happens?
Yeah.
No matter where they're inside the fold, outside the fold, church, whatever, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. If you can give somebody hope. When I
Hmm.
was down and out in my darkest years, I was suicidal. I didn't know, I didn't know if I was going to why I was even alive. And I couldn't even find a reason. I didn't know if I believed in God. I was hanging on about one thin thread, maybe two thin threads, even to my faith. Very thin threads. Uh, a guy from Virginia named Linford Berry met me at the I forget what it is, but a fast food restaurant there. Excuse me, on just on the north side of Statesville, North Carolina. I live near Statesville. He was down at the Statesville Auto Auction. We met up there. He said he has a few minutes. He spent 3 hours and he listened to me. He listened to everything out. He knew me quite a bit about me, and he said, "Look, there's I don't even remember how he said it, but there's like these different areas of a man, and if all three of them are broken, it's hard for me to see a path forward. But you've got this going for you. You've got this going for you, and I think you can do this." And
Hmm.
literally, the dude, I don't know if he saved my life, but pretty doggone close. I mean, physical life, but
Yep.
he saved my life in a different way. Definitely, like that was a huge, huge pivotal moment where I'm like, I have an outside opinion that it's actually there is a path. And he gave me hope. And
Yeah.
Dad, if you could give hope to people, legitimate hope. You can't blow BS up. You can't blow smoke up their rear. You can't feed them BS. If somebody that's hurting and you flatter them or whatever, that's cruel. It's extraordinarily evil. But if you can like sit down and hear them and go, you got a rough spot, and there ain't nothing going to be easy about this. But you know what? You do want to do what's right, and you're willing to like you I think you can do this. Come on, let's walk together.
Yeah.
And you got a path here because you got this and this and this going for you. And that person will guarantee they will go home and go, they will have hope. And hope changes everything, Sam. You know what?
Oh,
That's
100.
what you're really doing over there in North Carolina. Is you know what?
Absolutely.
Are you solving these people's housing problems? No, you're
No,
not.
no,
Like
not
they're
at
living
all.
in dinky little sheds, 10 by
Yep.
12, whatever. Like there's no way that's solving but you're giving them a hope. You're giving
Yep.
them a step up. And more than that, you're giving them hope. And I guarantee you the psychological effects of what you're doing long term will be exponentially more powerful than the actual physical uh,
Yes.
thing that you're giving them.
Yep. Yep. Had that
Hope is
conversation the
worth it.
other day. Yep. Had that conversation the other day with a little lady there at the church in Old Fort. She said, so it's been crazy. When I started there, I just looked at the whole Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee people as just a whole. And now, 3.5 months later, there's 5 different cultures in that area. They're not all the
Really?
same. There's very, very different cultures. You go to Barnardsville and you find one. You go to Spruce Pine, you find another one. You go to to Swannanoa and you got a whole different one. Well, then you go over the mountain down into Old Fort and into Marion and Nebo, and you got a whole different class of people. And I don't mean class as far as high class, mid class, low class. It's a different class. Just
Yep.
high class or low class, they're different. And that's where I found what the mission is about, in the fact that yes, it's not just about giving somebody a warm dry space. They literally need something that they can hang their hat on,
Hmm.
something that they can grasp and say, this is where I can start again.
Hmm.
And yeah, you're exactly right. It's hope. That's what it is. Jonas did that. That's why he calls it hope for crisis,
Hmm.
because you have to start giving them something back again. And ultimately, I said I'm fighting suicide and depression. What do you fight suicide and depression with? Hope.
Hope, hope.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's what
that's where
Linford.
it starts.
Unlock the power of productivity with Cardinal Leasing. Are you looking to elevate your business operations with top-tier equipment? Look no further than Cardinal Leasing. We offer a wide range of reliable and high-quality equipment tailored to meet your unique needs. Flexible leasing options. Whether you need short-term rentals or long-term solutions, our customizable leasing plans are designed to provide maximum flexibility and affordability. Conventional financing available. Cardinal Leasing also offers great conventional finance options for those of you that prefer that over-lease purchase options. Expert support. Our team of experienced professionals is here to guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless leasing experience. Boost efficiency. With our top-of-the-line equipment, you can enhance productivity, reduce downtime, and achieve your business goals faster. Why choose Cardinal Leasing? Competitive rates, exceptional customer service, hassle-free process, quick and easy approvals. Don't let outdated equipment hold you back. Partner with Cardinal Leasing today and take your business to the next level. Contact us now. Visit our website at equipment.cardinalleasing.us or call us at 618-803-4086 to get started.
That's what Linford fought my suicidal drive that day. And it wasn't as intense as it had been a few years ago, but it was still definitely there.
Yeah.
So, but you know
Hope.
what? Here's the thing I want to say to everybody listening. Maybe you don't have, and the number almost slipped out. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but man, that's an impressive number. I'm going to tease it. That's an impressive number, Sam. Uh, but a bunch of sheds. Maybe that's not where, but you know what? You might be selling sheds, and you might have somebody come in that needs some hope, way more than they need a shed. You might have. Maybe you're a manufacturer. You're out there. Maybe you're an employee and you're out there building with some guys, and you notice the one guy's down, and the next day he's down, and the third day he's down, and finally you pull him aside and say, "Are you okay?" "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm fine." Like, no, listen, cut the BS. Are you okay? What's going on? And you're like, "Oh, this guy cares," and he starts telling you, and you say, "All right, we're going out to eat tonight." Or whatever, and you go take him out to eat, and you say, "What is really going on here?" And at
Yeah.
the end of that conversation, you give him some hope. You know what? You might change the trajectory of his life forever, but by what you consider like nothing. But for somebody who's in a dark, hard spot, it can be really powerful. And so you don't have to wait for the big stuff. You don't have to wait for the situations like for Barry ran into that day when
Yeah.
I was down and out and was just a crummy human being and in many, many dimensions. And he gave me a path of hope.
Yeah.
But give people hope authentically. You got to be real. You can't, like I said, you got to do it from your heart.
Yeah. Well, get back. I just interviewed the Stover brothers. Their episode came out last Friday, and I got a bunch of calls. I hadn't got in, like, I know that I get my typical calls from guys that say, "Hey, it was a great episode. Really enjoyed it." But when the Stover twins episode come out last week, it was 10 times the calls that I got back in off of it. And it
Really?
was an episode I had fun with. Like, it was entertaining and fun. Josh was doing a repo in the middle of the episode. And Joe's
Oh,
running up and down. Joe's running up and down the road somewhere doing something. But the thing that stuck out to everybody, those dudes are killing it in what they're doing. And everybody wants to know, like, they don't want to ask him why, but they want to know why. And they said it. You have to treat people with respect. You have to care. And these guys are doing pickups. I mean, they do other stuff too, but we're talking about guys that are national retrieval artists. They're very good at what they do. Joe will go anywhere if somebody asks him to go and pick up sheds that nobody else wants to pick up or whatever. And he says, you have to care. And I'm like, mind blown.
Yep.
Because you can almost said manipulate. I'm not allowed to use that word anymore because I used it one time when I used to do praise and worship. I was a worship leader. I was a worship leader for years. And I used to tell guys, yeah, I manipulate people into getting ready to hear the word of God. Oh, that's terrible. You shouldn't be a manipulator. That's a bad thing. So I've kind of crossed that word out a little bit. But you have to get people to understand that you're there for them, even if you're there for bad things. That's huge, man.
And I want to take a risk. I want to say something. I really like those Stover brothers. I like them a lot. And I've heard people kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Because let's just be honest. They cultivate an outlaw image on social media. Okay. They do. Okay. There's no way. They just do. Okay.
Yeah.
And so people start thinking of them as outlaw repo guys. And I'm like, no. Listen, they will go to the most difficult repos, and then who knows, they might end up being buddies with the person they repoed it from before it's over, because they care about people and they treat people with dignity and respect, even if they're loser bums. Even loser bum, we should treat everybody with dignity and respect. And these boys get that. I see through their online persona, which is awesome, by the way. It's not negative. I'm just saying it's kind of an outlaw, a little bit of outlaw image that they cultivate, and it makes me laugh. I love it. But but you pay attention to what they're doing. They actually love people and they treat people with respect, and they care. They care about what they're doing. And I have tremendous respect for them. I would hire them to do my repos in a heartbeat. We at SmartPay haven't had need of them, but I've put in a good word to our repo guy. Like, if you ever need these guys, you can count on them. Like, they're not going to cause us trouble. They're the guys. And we have some amazing guys too. You brought them up, so I'm talking about them.
Oh yeah. You do have some. I mean, I know some of the guys that work with you, and they're great guys. And I'm not saying that. But we have seen a bunch of hotshot retrieval guys come and go.
Yep.
And those two dudes are still out there just hammering away, and they will continue to hammer away. They don't try to reinvent the wheel. They go out there and do it the way it needs to be done. They're happy doing it. And Josh literally did one in the middle of his Shed Geek episode. It was and the crazy thing about it was, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. We're going to be like right along with Josh in a pickup, in a retrieval. His what Blue Parrot had, whatever he's using, you couldn't even tell he was on the mule. Like he got the mule off the truck, went in behind the building. And the only time we ever knew that something was going on was he paused a little bit in the middle of talking to us. And the dude never lost his concentration talking with us. But he paused in the middle of it. He paused in the middle, and he goes, "Man, can I get you to move that car for me, please?" And that was the only thing through the whole thing that you could tell anything even happened.
That's awesome.
It was great. Awesome. But I don't want to get off track on that. I want to get here was what I caught when he said that. You got to care about people. I was like, let me tell you something. I'll put one guy head and shoulders above everybody else in the shed industry when it comes to, I want to be able to stand on top of whatever stack of Bibles we have in this industry and say that this man has never let me down when it comes to caring for people, and that's Richard Miller.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. You do a phenomenal job.
Make me cry.
Listen, it doesn't matter if we don't all agree with each other. There's times I want to bump heads with you or whatever. I always know mutual. You care. Yeah. I always know you care.
Yeah. Same to you.
So it's to have that in this industry. So whenever anything comes up, with you, I immediately know that I don't have to look at it from the angle that he didn't care about it. It's
Right.
just not, it's mute. There's no point there. It never. It's like,
Yep.
okay, so get that off the table. So now you play by a set of rules that if Richard cares about it, which we know he does, then that immediately tells you what's going to come next. Well, that means he was at least honest about it, even if we don't like what he was honest about. And
Yep.
we know that it's always going to stick with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Thank you. That's very
that's a
kind of you.
legacy to build on. Yeah, you're welcome. But
Thank you.
that's you can't, nobody can take that from you. It's you. It's who you are.
Thank you.
Yep.
It means a lot. Hey, I do want to talk about that thing I was proud of on my home building.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know that sounds like cocky and arrogant.
Nah,
Here, but there's a great lesson in it. I was okay. Sam, you and I grew up around what we called them frolics, where people would get together and we built each other's houses and stuff in the culture we come from. The Amish have their barn raising, whatever you call it, like that's in our culture.
yep.
And you probably saw some of the same things I did, where sometimes the quality standards would start slipping by the end of the day, and people like, dude, this is my first home I've ever built, and it's not perfect by a long shot, but dadgummit, I want it done right. And
Yeah.
how do I get that? Here's what I did. I picked three guys: Kenny Schlabach, AJ Kaufman, Joe Cover. Joe is from Iowa, and they are all competent. They are all great leaders. They're all great guys. And I communicated with them what I wanted, and I turned them loose, and they ran that whole project. They asked me some questions along the way. There's some things I said how I wanted it done. They argued back with me. There's a lot of things in that house, the way it got built for those 2 days, that are not the way I wanted it, but they convinced me to do it a better way, like
Yep.
rafter ties, hurricane ties. There's a way
Mm-hmm.
better way of doing that, and that's
Yep.
these lag screws, a certain kind of lag screws. I forget what they're called. Up through the bottom plate, vastly
Yep.
superior. I didn't know about that, but when I got done, I had the product that I want, and that product, that final house, will stand up to anybody
Yeah.
doing
Yep.
anything. Like the job that they did, especially with some of the concrete issues, is just absolutely top of the line. It's not that barn raising / frolic lack of quality, but I got good guys. I communicated what I wanted to them, and I gave them leeway and authority to execute on it, and they were better. See, that's the other thing, Sam. I got guys in place that were better than myself,
Oh yeah.
significantly better in every dimension of what
Preach.
was needed. And my end result, like, see, if this was a company, I would have, like, I put a guy in for the CEO and the CFO and the COO or whatever. I'm just making up stuff
Yep.
that are better than me and all that kind of stuff. And I have a phenomenal company. It's my house, right?
Yep.
And I communicated with what I wanted, and I let them run with it. And I'm proud. Like, that was probably the best judgment call that I made in the entire project, was to get those guys, communicate what I wanted, and let them run it. And I got so many comments about how these guys, people over and over, they said, like, they would come together and they would huddle and they would split up, like, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. The decisions made, boom, boom, boom. They
Yep.
executed. It was a machine. We had 10-foot sidewalls, 40-foot spans, 70 feet of rafters, 2-foot centers,
Yep.
and all the rafters were not rafters, trusses. Sorry, all the trusses were put up by hand. We had no equipment on the
I saw
property.
that. I saw those.
Just boom, boom. They said,
Yep.
no, it's going to slow us down. We got the manpower here. Boom, boom. But the organization, like, these guys did a amazing, amazing job. And that's what I want to say. Like, ask the people for help. Ask the people, like, don't be threatened by people who are better, and say, hey, will you help me with this? Most people want to help you with that.
Yep.
And then communicate what you want to them. If you have a business, get good employees, get people that are better than you,
Yes.
communicate what you want with them, empower them to do it, and get out of their way and enjoy the fruits of their labors. That's what I did. And literally, it's the best thing I did on that project, and I'm proud of it. But the reason that's not why I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it because of the lessons that are inherent to that.
Yeah. I got a big day tomorrow. I have a fully finished 18 by 40 cabin that's going to require 2 to 3 meals to get it delivered. Way back in the sticks and down a dirt lane. With all the rain we've had lately, it's going to be a mess. Well, it needs a bigger mule.
Well, when you talk, Cardinal listens, and you asked for it. With its diesel-powered 69-horse engine and capacity to move 40,000-pound sheds, the Mule 9069 is ready to turn your big days into just another day in the good life.
Ah, that's right. You're talking about the one they had up in Michigan at the Shed Show. That monster mule, that thing was awesome.
That's right. It's the one you've seen at all the Shed Holler barbecues.
Man, yeah, there's nothing like a little diesel donkey to make my day go so much better. Yep. Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to let good leaders lead?
Because they make us look bad. They don't, but we feel that way. I mean, that's not the whole reason. But like, well, they'll show me up. I don't ever consciously think that, but I think subconsciously it's there.
Where did we get off track to where we feel like that's? I'm 100%. I'm with you. I agree. But how did we get to the point to where we feel like if I'm okay, so I'm gonna use the same example you did with your house, and I'm just gonna go with I have a company, but I could apply it to church, I could apply it to business, I can apply it to community centers, anywhere I can apply this. Where did we get the idea that the best leader is not somebody who has the best leaders?
Run that by me again one more time. You lost me. Sorry.
Why do we not believe that the best leader is the guy that has the best leaders? Where did we get off track on that? Where does that come from?
I don't know. It's illogical. Look at Elon Musk. Okay, you can criticize him a million different ways. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you can't argue the fact that his SpaceX program and the Tesla program, and you ignore the mainstream media and actually just talk to our friend Ronnie Wagner, who is in the shed business too, by the way. Ronnie Wagner will happily give you all the stats about Tesla versus every other automobile manufacturer, and I love it. I enjoy it. I'm just laughing about it. And the internet thing, the Starlink thing, which I have Starlink in my house in Missouri, and it's absolutely wonderful. It lets me live there in Missouri and have the high-speed internet that I need to do my job, and it's wonderful. You know what? As brilliant as Elon might be, and he's a machine and he works long hours, he doesn't have a fraction of what it takes to pull all that stuff off.
No.
But he has surrounded himself with some of the best of the best of the best. And I really think, based on everything I can tell, he is not one bit threatened by hiring people that are significantly better at something than him. Like he wants that. And listen to what he says. He doesn't say, "I want to solve that." He says, "Our engineers will solve that."
Yep. This is true.
And if he's not threatened by it, you're right. It's bizarre when you stop and think about it.
So you know where I go with it.
Where's that?
You gave me the little dude that we used to stick on the gas pumps. You're the one that gave me that sticker.
Yep.
I did that. You remember that?
I remember that. Yeah. I forgot about that.
I remember the gas station we were at up in Ohio. I was following you back over, and you and Tina give me some of them little stickers. And I remember the thought crossed my mind, this guy would actually be proud. His sense of accomplishment is so warped that he would pull up to that pump and he would be like, "Hey, look at there, I did this."
Yep.
And it led me down the trail that sometimes I feel like, so I'm an old Zig Ziglar protege and Maxwell. I grew up, my leadership skills all come from John Maxwell stuff. And everything that I've been pounded and taught into me is for me to operate at my best capabilities, I have people that operate better than I do. But that means I can't say I did that, because it's a we did that, or they did that, or, and ultimately it comes back to God did that. That's what gets us in trouble, I feel like. And I said from day one, before I ever made the first post about North Carolina, I looked at Dale and Kramer and I said, if we're going to do this, this is going to be God's thing. It has to be. It absolutely has to be. And yeah, by the time this episode comes out, everybody's going to know that we went over 500 sheds. By the time it comes out, we'll be there. And that is God 100% showing up, showing out. And the part I don't get to talk about a whole lot, because I don't know, social media drives me crazy some days. That is God touching people's hearts when they read the stories. I'm not talking about the people in North Carolina. I'm talking about the people that are all over this country, that when they see that, they want to be a part of that, and they see it for what it is. That's the exact same thing that happened to you with your house. I watched that post that night, and the whole time I'm griping and grinding because I already know that weekend's gone for me. I can't be there. But to see the people, hey, you know what? You're going to go. I want to go. You're going to go. I'm going to go, because we're all going to go help Rich do this. You follow what I'm saying? It's you remember the old song, the fields are white unto harvest, but the reapers, where are they? We have some people that are stepping up, and that they're seeing that there's fields, and they're stepping up, and they're being willing to harvest in those fields.
But see, I want to point something out. You're 100% right. You're talking about a mega project. Since you gave the number, and like you said, it's going to be, everybody's going to know by the time it comes out, 500 sheds. Okay, you had to be the first one to say it.
It's all good.
And 500 sheds, or building a house like one weekend, and people coming from literally coast to coast and border to border, and across the border, just absolutely mind-boggling. Okay, well, what if I don't have what it takes to pull? You know what? Here's what I want to tell everybody that's listening: go step up and do something. I don't care how. You know what? Invite people over for. Well, I can't cook. You know what? Make mac and cheese and hot dogs. Okay.
Yes.
Seriously, and tell them, look,
Yes.
it ain't. Just tell people up front, it ain't fancy. I don't know how to cook, or I don't have much money right now, but I'd like to be together with you. Can you come over and eat supper with us? Maybe clean. Maybe here's one that'll stretch you. Maybe your fence row needs to be cleaned. Well, probably shouldn't have gone fishing or play video games so much this summer. So I don't deserve to ask somebody to help. Well, you know what? You're probably right. Okay. But do any of us deserve any of it? Get over that and say, you know what? I got a crazy idea. My fence row needs to be cleaned, and I'll get to it eventually. But I thought it'd be a lot of fun if we could hang out, our family and your family. Do you guys want to come over and we'll clean the fence row? We'll use some of the trimmings, and we'll build a fire, roast some hot dogs. And by the time they get done with that evening, they'll be thanking you because you created community and connection. You know what? I'm going to say something. Maybe I should. No, I'll just say this. You know, there are some websites out there that you can get subscriptions and stuff that are, we ain't even want to go there, but fans get on it and stuff. Okay, I'm hinting, you get the idea. And people talk like, what's the attraction? You can get all that stuff for free on the internet. And I don't know from personal experience. I got to throw that disclaimer in because somebody's going to say, oh, how do you know? But anyway, but you know what I was thinking about? Because people feel a connection. That's why they pay the money.
100%.
That's why they go to all these places that are not good. I'm not even going to say it, but bad places you shouldn't be going to. They're going there and spending that money because to get a connection. Okay, well, give people a healthy connection. You know what? If you, whoever's listening to this, if you will step up and do one thing a month to give somebody a healthy connection, you're making a difference in other people's lives. And maybe it's cleaning the fence row, maybe it's eating hot dogs and mac and cheese around your kitchen table. I don't care what it is. Create opportunities for connection.
Yes.
And now you know what? You're leading in a movement. And let's just build this thing until our country becomes connected again.
Oh,
I'm too
see,
I'm
there's
idealistic, I know, but man,
now that right connected again, because now we're going back to what you were talking about earlier, the disconnect that was put on us on purpose,
yep,
and we have to fight back from that. And I'm telling you, that's the haulers that come in and haul these buildings, they don't even understand what's happening to them, but that's exactly what's happening to them. They come in and they're like, hey, I can't do much, but I can come work a day. I can come work 2 days. I can come work 3 days, or some of them come a week, and then they can't wait to come back again. It's because they're making a connection to what's going on.
yep,
You know what I'm saying?
yep.
And oh man, it's if I ever want to use this platform to get the word out about something, it is exactly that. You just start. You have to start.
And everybody can do it. It takes no
Yes.
skill. It
Yeah.
just takes, you got to have
Yep.
the picture and you got to be intentional about it. And see here, you said something about that division and stuff was on purpose, and it absolutely was. But I think it's important we say why, we acknowledge why. Because if I want to take over whatever, let's say I'm the devil and I want to destroy a church,
Yeah.
as long as they're connected, I will never
Yep.
get anywhere. If I can get them divided, I
Mm-hmm.
can move in there and knock the thing out. If I want to, united we stand, divided we fall. Like
Yep.
that is a foundational truth principle of life.
Yes.
And when a community, when a church, when a company, or whatever, when they are connected, it's almost impossible for them to fall. When you see somebody that's an organization or an area that's fallen, every single time there will be a lack of connection.
Yep.
It's just
Yep.
it's just there's probably, maybe there's an exception somewhere, but I've never seen it.
Yeah. There's always a disconnect somewhere. What we have here is a failure to communicate.
Yep.
That's one of the oldest phrases out there, is the fact that, communication broke down somewhere. You can apply that to family, even personal family life. If you guys, I don't care how small or how big the family is, if it starts failing to communicate and starts disconnecting, which I personally believe is one of the biggest battles in this country, is the family. Um, uh, what's the word? What am I trying to say? All the way back to the 40s, I can see stories and I read about history of where it's an attack on the family and an attack on marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and all the rest of it hinges off of that. And when you start there, you can divide all of it.
Exactly.
Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. This was part 1 of a 2-part episode, so be sure to listen next week to finish today's podcast.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.